Look, thanks for coming here today as we meet on Noongar land to express our opposition to this outrageous proposal to turn over about 30%, 70 hectares it is, of this land, including the land we're standing on, all the land through to Memorial Drive, which is quite a way for people who know the area, all the way through to the Garden Island Causeway, and all the way through across this area here. So it's about 70 hectares, and I tell you what, there won't be a blade of grass left if those bulldozers come in. I've seen the plans, but I'll get more to that later. So what they want to do, they want to turn this area into an inland marina. So it's not a few boats bobbing around in Mangels Bay, which a lot of locals thought it was. I mean, it makes sense, normally marinas are in the water, but no, this one's going to be in here. They're going to dig a great big hole. So there you have it. I'm not sure if we've got any Rockingham City Councillors here today. I know at the last rally we did, but today it's a pretty big one, so not sure if any of them have come along. There is a couple of Rocky City Councillors have had the courage to stand up to the Mayor and the others and say, no, I don't agree with this, but we're working on that one. We've got, I know we've got one of the members for the upper house, for South Metro, Lynn McLaren. She's been standing up for us. She's here. She's going to speak for a couple of minutes in a little while. So, okay, look, the idea of a marina at Mangels Bay, Point Peron has been tossed around for decades, but it's been knocked back several times because the idea is so flawed, it's so unviable from every angle. But unfortunately, this absurd idea is on the agenda again, and that's because a small but very powerful group of locals, including a couple of elected representatives, I might add, who have been pushing for this development for years, they now have the ear of government, because we had a change of state government in 2008 and we now have the minority Liberal National Government. So where are we up to in all of this? So I'm going to give you a brief summary of what's happened over just the last 5 years and give you an outline of the main steps that the government's required to follow. So just going back to say 5 years, we're 2011 now, going back to 2006, in 2006, what's called the Strategic Environmental Review documents detailing plans for this area, which was the first part of the first main part of the process. These documents were submitted to the EPA, and taxpayer funded, mind you. We've all paid for these documents. The silly idea we all know is outrageous. However, I move on, and in fact, I pulled a page out today, and I've laminated it and put on one of the pin-up boards, which is one of them just over there. Okay, got just 2 pin-up boards with heaps of really good info, so I suggest you have a look at it after the rally. So on there's a page there, and it's got a picture of 3 canals. This is a document, this is a page that was taken out of the 2006 documents that clearly show 3 different maps, 3 different arrangements of canals. It's all canals. So, you know, there's lots of information in those documents. And it clearly shows that it is a canal development, contrary to what a small group of local power brokers who have been pushing this project have been claiming in the local papers for the last 3 years. As I said, it has 3 options of canals, and it's on the pin-up board. Interestingly, these documents that were submitted in 2006 that's got the detailed plans for it, which is definitely a canal development, they're not on the government website anymore. Fortunately, I downloaded a copy before it disappeared, and it's now available on the Hands Off Point Peron website.
Good on you, Dawn.
So the next phase, which is where we are now, is the preparation of the Public Environmental Review documents, which will be submitted to the EPA, Environmental Protection Authority, it's a state level, later this year. As this part of the phase, at this part of the phase, the government and developers are required to consult with the community, and they do this by holding a few meetings with selected stakeholders. They have to show that they are consulting with the community. So 3 meetings were held over October, November last year, and I attended representing the Hands Off Point Peron group. I tell you, they were horrified when they saw me. But anyway, their body language, they're not ad-libbing now, their body language, honestly, they know they're trying to sell us a dud. Honestly, I had to sit at these meetings, I had to not laugh. It was just so outrageous. Some of my other colleagues there, they were just sitting there getting furious. I thought, I knew it was going to be like this. And just, honestly, it was just real education, I've got to tell you. So these 3 meetings were held over October, November, and I attended. And the thing is, at these meetings, you aren't allowed to voice your objections. And I tell you what, at the very first meeting, at the very first thing they said, and the guy was eyeballing me the whole time he was saying it, looking at no one else, just straight at me. There was only about a dozen of us there, or 18 or whatever, and 6 of those were the, proponents, so probably only a dozen public people, And he was looking at me saying, I know, we realise that there's some of you here who don't agree with this, but this is not the place to air your concerns. And he's looking at me the whole time. I'm thinking, oh, they've obviously Googled me, obviously done some research. But anyway. So the only thing that you can do, and they made that clear to me, is make suggestions on how they can improve what's on the table. I'm thinking, chuck it in the bin. But, of course, I couldn't say it. And I tell you what, I'm so glad I went to these meetings. Never got involved in this sort of stuff before. Very new to me, but I tell you what, I'm learning fast. And I'm so glad I went to these meetings, because I tell you what, the rest of it was silly. It amazed me. Anyway. So it's important to be aware, if I haven't already made it crystal clear, that the only reason that this project is progressing to the next phase is because in September 2009, the newly elected Barnett government committed $3.7 million of taxpayer funds, our money. Too bad if you're struggling to pay electricity. Plenty of money for this sort of rubbish. So they funded, they committed $3.7 million of our money to subsidise the next phase. Interestingly, you may have noticed they were calling it back then the Cape Peron Tourist Precinct Project.
Can you look up in the camera?
Funny about that. About 6 months ago they changed the name to Mangels Bay Marina Project or something or other. So we can see straight away, and the campaign wasn't really swinging back then. We've already starting to make some inroads. They're changing the name of the project to make it a bit more palatable. Trying to suggest it's a few boats bobbing around in Mangels Bay. Well, didn't work. The thing is, there's no way any developer would put up their own money to fund this second phase studies, because the project just doesn't stack up financially, important to note, environmentally or socially. I mean, wow, this is a fantastic asset. To squander it, no, crazy. That's when I started the Hands Off Point Peron group. I did that in response to the September 2009 announcement. I thought, wow, there's money on the table now. This is going to, it's going to start moving forward. So, and the thing is, it just seemed to me that the government were trying to sneak this project in. And if you don't read the local papers, there's very little chance that a lot of people would have heard about it. Well, up until now, we're starting to get some traction now with these rallies and all the leafleting we've done about the rally. But the government have continued to claim in all of their every time they say anything, they're saying we have carried out extensive community consultation. I believe, I didn't see it, but I believe there was a display at Rockingham City Shopping Centre a few years ago for about 2 weeks. Yeah, if you call that extensive community consultation, wow. So, like I said, lured by the $3.7 million taxpayer-funded sweetener, a private sector development partner called Cedar Woods was appointed by April. It took them 7 months to find a developer. The money on the table September 09, and it took till April 10 for someone to put their hand up, which is where we are now. So, like I say, there's been constant denials that it's a canal development by some, including some elected representatives in both local and state governments. The thing is, Cedar Woods specialises in residential canal housing developments. As I said, many people in the community still think this proposed marina is in the water in Mangels Bay. It's not. But the thing is, that's what the tried to lead you to believe. But as I said, in the documents that are on the table 2006, copies of which I've got here, copies which are on the hands-on Point Peron website show that it's not. It is a canal development. The only part of the development that's going to be in Mangels Bay will be the entry to the inland marina, with the channels being dredged through 6 hectares of healthy seagrass.
What about the fish?
Good question, we'll get to that.